documenting every step in their bid to improve the agri sector. Use your earphone and check. When one looks at all the figures that the agri sector has put up, it's really, really very interesting. Very interesting. Government policies, I'm told, have led to the establishment of 13 new rice mills by private investors. Combined production of dry season and main season paddy, now 1.76 million metric tons, unprecedented in Nigeria's history. I also find it very interesting listening to the minister when he was speaking about the farmers, having phones and doing transactions via the telephones. And more interesting for me was the fact where he spoke about where even without network, they can still do some things. I really find that interesting, something I would really, really like to learn more about, because a lot of the places where these farmers reside are places where sometimes they may not be networked, they may not be able to get their the network service, but with this technology a lot will still be going on. And I think one thing I really like about all that has been going on is the emphasis on rice. A lot of time before, you have a situation where if it happens that it's supposed to be like anything to do with rice, you'll be depending on imports. But from the minister, we understand that Nigeria is now on the road to being self-sufficient in rice production.
Away. The processing side also needs to be addressed, and this is where the women would like to come in at the medium scale level and also at the top level. I'm glad that you showed one woman who is there. Now, Honorable Minister, I had said to you outside that the National Center for Women Development, having organized a Women and Girls Summit, which the Honorable Minister was very much involved in, Minister for Education, we centered on the education of the girl child. And what we've realized is that we have to begin at that level to bring the girl child in. So these women of the future that we're talking about in agriculture, we have to start them from the schools. The federal government now has a program in schools to encourage agriculture and different levels of involvement in agriculture taught in schools. Honorable Minister, we are planning at the NCWD a summit for women in agriculture. There is nothing like an idea whose time has come. If you believe me, can you put your hands together for that? Because we must engage the women. If a woman wants to set up a small garden at the back of her house to grow enough vegetables to be able to feed her children well, she ought to be given the implementation. She ought to be taught how to do this. At the summit, what we expect from the Ministry of Agriculture and every other ministry is to come there and be able to answer the questions that the young lady has asked. If I want to be a farmer, where do I start? Where do I go? What do I do? We also want to bring in the banks, the central bank, to tell us how we can access the 220 billion that Mr. President has designated for SMEs and has said that 60% must go to women. This is very necessary, because listening to you, I'm saying, this is my country, Nigeria, hooray. But I wonder how many people have the information that you have provided to us today. Not all of them are listening, so this has to be a continuum. We mustn't stop at this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm afraid we are going to stop the question and answer session now, because the Honorable Minister of Education is very much in the house. He was here before he went back. It's my pleasure now to bring to the microphone the Honorable Minister of Education, His Excellency Malam Ibrahim Shekarau. Please, let's give a round of applause for him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Honorable Ministers, heads of prostitutes here present, officials of various ministries here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media. Let me first of all join my very good friend, brother and colleague in expressing my happiness, thanks and gratitude to those who put up this program to talk to ourselves, talk to Nigerian fellows as to what this government has been doing. Talking about Mr. President, Minister of Education had described him as a compassionate person, humble, concerned. I want to add, a Democrat, and I have a very good reason for that. Dr. Okupe told you while he was doing the introductory remarks that I was a presidential candidate in 2011 under the defunct ANPP. Shortly after my winning the primary elections that was transparently conducted at the Eagle Square live, 6 of us contested. I got the ticket, beating them by far. I decided to write to all Nigerian leaders, from Mr. President to former presidents, former heads of states, former excellencies and current excellencies, whatever you decide to call excellencies, and senators, former and current, House of Reps, and all those dignitaries that I can recall. The first response that came was in the very first week after my writing all the letters, was a reply from Mr. President Goodluck Jonathan. He wrote one full-page letter addressing me as a presidential candidate, assuring me of his readiness to cooperate with anyone who wins at the end, to support whoever wins, so long as the contest turns out to be free and fair. He ended up the letter with a sentence: Your Excellency, I wish you good luck. Now, I immediately put a call to him. By then I was a sitting governor. I put an immediate call He said, Your Excellency, let me first of all appreciate your very prompt response to my letter. I want to thank you